The narrative immediately drops us into a very serious, gloomy, and reflective mood. Clark is the main focus here, and he is shown deep in his own thoughts, heavily reflecting on the massive, devastating war that has recently ended. He is mentally struggling with the immense pain that the terrible conflict has caused, and thinking deeply about all the countless lives that were unfortunately lost during the brutal battles. It is a very somber and quiet moment, and you can truly feel the heavy weight of his regrets as he openly wishes that things could have happened in a completely different way. He feels a strong sense of what-ifs, intensely wondering if the tragedy could have been completely avoided from the very beginning. The scene transitions to a highly secure location where Clark is now being held as a prisoner inside a special holding cell. Bruce comes down to visit him, and the emotional tension between these two former allies instantly becomes heavy. Clark immediately goes on the verbal offensive, bitterly saying that if Bruce had just acted like a true friend, none of this disaster would have ever happened. Batman quickly fires back, firmly rejecting the blame and telling Superman that he alone is completely responsible for his own violent actions and the destruction that followed. Superman then questions Batman's lack of humanity, ironically pointing out that as an alien, he seems to show far more human emotion than Batman ever does. Superman explains his complicated feelings, admitting that while he feels remorse for some of the things that happened, he still strongly stands by his original goal of protecting the people of the planet. He seriously reminds Batman of the painful tragedies he went through, specifically mentioning the loss of Lois Lane, their unborn child, and his entire city. He ends his emotional statement by accusing Batman of completely abandoning him when he needed support the most. The intense argument continues, and Superman keeps venting his deep frustrations. He accuses Batman of constantly judging him and only focusing on his worst qualities while fighting against him. With heavy sarcasm, Superman congratulates Batman on winning the war, claiming that Batman now basically controls the entire world. Batman immediately defends himself, clearly stating that he has no desire to rule anything. His only goal is to fix the damage that Superman has caused. Superman mocks this idea, asking if Batman's big plan is just to take the world back to its old, broken state. He questions whether Batman wants people to return to fighting pointless battles over land, religion, and money. Superman admits that Batman has the intelligence to control everything, but boldly claims that Batman's version of a rebuilt world would actually be terrifying. To hit even harder emotionally, Superman brings up Batman's personal losses, naming the people closest to him who are now gone, including Alfred, Dick, Tim, Jason, and Damian. Superman coldly tells Batman that he has failed every single one of them. Batman finally decides that this toxic conversation is over. He simply tells Clark goodbye and starts walking away from the holding cell. As Batman leaves, Superman refuses to stop and continues throwing sharp verbal attacks, telling Batman to keep hiding behind his civilian identity to manipulate people into following him. Superman confidently says that he understands Batman's true nature. He strongly insists that if Batman ever fully takes control, he will never give that power back to the people. Superman claims that Batman has a deep psychological need for control. For his final harsh statement, Superman compares Batman to a scared little child who is still trying to stop a tragedy involving 2 bullets. At that exact moment, Harley Quinn, who has been silently listening to everything, reacts. She comments that Superman's last statement about the frightened child and the bullets was extremely cruel and heartless. Harley Quinn tries to break the heavy tension by randomly making a joke about eating cupcakes. However, she quickly drops the joke and gets serious. She gives Batman her honest opinion, saying that Superman clearly lost his sanity a long time ago. Surprisingly, Batman admits that Superman actually made a very valid point about the current situation. He explains that the world is unstable and chaotic right now, and if they do not step in to guide it, some other dangerous group will take control. Batman agrees that the world needs improvement, But he also admits his own flaws and understands that he cannot fix everything on his own. Harley playfully agrees that his flaws are very obvious. Batman then explains his plan to work with world leaders while also forming their own council. He starts to offer Harley a place on his team, but she quickly interrupts him. She makes it clear that she will not change her appearance or who she is for anyone. Most importantly, she demands that they work as equals, making it clear that she will never accept being treated like a sidekick. Harley Quinn directly tells Batman that she urgently needs to take care of a quick phone call before she officially accepts any partnership offer from him. She then heads to her current base of operations, which is revealed to be the old Arrow Cave, the former headquarters of Green Arrow. She starts the call, and the mysterious person on the other end nervously greets her. Harley confirms that it is really her. The conversation quickly shifts to something personal, as the person on the other side warmly mentions that it is Lucy's birthday. The person kindly asks Harley if she would like to speak to Lucy for a moment, but Harley strongly hesitates, nervously questioning if talking to Lucy is really a good decision in this situation. The calm and quiet atmosphere suddenly breaks. A loud alarm starts ringing throughout the Arrow Cave. The worried person on the phone asks Harley what that noise is, and Harley quickly explains that she might have to hang up. She openly admits that she has no idea what the alarm means, only that it is extremely loud and not helpful at all. Through the chaos of the alarm, a team suddenly crashes into the room, led by a woman named Waller. She formally introduces herself as Director Waller. Waller immediately starts talking about Harley's past criminal activities. The action now moves into full intensity. As the smoke slowly clears, Waller is seen standing confidently with heavily armed soldiers. Harley, completely unfazed by the dramatic entry, casually says that she did not hear a single word of the speech because the explosion was too loud. She openly mocks Waller, sarcastically saying that her voice must be very high-pitched if she expected to be heard over a bomb. Waller, clearly annoyed, firmly orders one of her men to capture Harley immediately. Harley quickly takes a defensive stance, grabbing a bow and some arrows that were nearby. She jokingly asks the soldiers to wait while she figures out how to properly use the weapon. She playfully warns them that if they give her enough time, there's a 50-50 chance they might actually be in danger. The situation quickly turns serious. The armed soldiers surround Harley from all sides and give her strict orders to turn around and put her hands behind her back. Harley jumps onto her bike and prepares to escape, but Waller aggressively warns her not to try anything. The leader loudly orders the soldiers to take her down, but clearly tells them to keep her alive. Realizing that she is completely outnumbered and outgunned, Harley quickly activates her hidden communication device to contact Batman. She urgently tells him that a large group of heavily armed people is attacking her and trying to capture her. While trying to escape, Harley suddenly gets hit by a sniper shot. The sniper reports back to the leader, confirming that the target is down and Harley has been successfully taken out. After this, Harley slowly regains consciousness. She groans in pain, complaining about a strong headache as she wakes up. Waller stands over her and coldly welcomes her back. Harley's body is completely tied up, and they have surgically implanted a dangerous explosive device into her brainstem, which is clearly causing her intense pain. Waller then gives her a harsh reality check. She clearly explains that even if Batman has chosen to ignore Harley's past crimes, the United States government has not forgotten anything. The woman in charge officially welcomes Harley Quinn to the Suicide Squad. This moment works as a massive cliffhanger that completely changes Harley's direction in the story, pulling her right back into the dangerous world she was trying to figure out. In a very tense standoff, we see a brave young boy named Connor Lance Queen standing firmly while holding a loaded bow and arrow. He has his weapon drawn and aimed, fiercely warning an unseen intruder not to take a single step closer. The mysterious intruder is quickly revealed to be the powerful, magical being, Dr. Fate. He looks down at young Connor and notes how much the boy has grown since Fate first brought him to this alternate universe as a helpless baby. Dr. Fate explains that he urgently needs to speak with Connor's parents. Those parents, Dinah Lance and Oliver Queen, are shown standing nearby. Dr. Fate casually asks Oliver to tell his son to stop shooting him directly in the head with his arrows. Oliver, acting like a proud father, simply says that his son actually has a really good grouping with his shots. Oliver playfully defends his son's actions by pointing out that Dr. Fate's bright golden helmet makes a very tempting target. Dr. Fate takes offense, sternly explaining that his helmet is a deeply powerful artifact, not just a simple shiny object. Dinah dryly adds that his magical helmet currently has a bunch of suction cup toy arrows stuck to it. Oliver finally tells Connor that he has done enough and orders him to stop firing. Dr. Fate then turns serious and admits to Dinah and Oliver that he has been struggling deeply with his recent actions. Dr. Fate then delivers some shocking news to the worried couple. He bluntly tells them that he was completely wrong to bring them to this universe and save their lives. He explains that according to the strict rules of destiny, Black Canary was supposed to meet her tragic end and die. By interfering, he has gone directly against fate itself. Dinah and Oliver are clearly alarmed by this dangerous statement. Reacting instantly, Dinah unleashes her powerful sonic scream directly at the magical hero. Dinah's powerful sonic scream blasts Dr. Fate backward. In the middle of the chaos, Oliver quickly draws his weapon and fires a sharp arrow straight at Fate. Dr. Fate gets hit and falls to the ground, firmly ordering Oliver to stop his attack. Despite the warning, Oliver's arrow strikes Dr. Fate directly in the hand. Dr. Fate looks confused, confidently saying that normal earthly weapons cannot harm him. Oliver smugly replies that his arrow is actually magical, and he is sure that it hurts. Realizing the situation, Oliver tells him to pull the magical arrow out of his hand. Dr. Fate cries out in extreme pain from the magical wound. Oliver immediately prepares another magical arrow, aims it straight at Fate's face, and demands that they have a serious conversation. Dr. Fate quickly begs them to wait, insisting that they are completely misunderstanding his true intentions. Oliver sarcastically replies that pointing a loaded magical weapon at someone usually helps clear up misunderstandings. Dr. Fate urgently clarifies that he did not come to harm them. He carefully explains that even though Dinah was originally meant to die, he fought against destiny itself to make sure she survived. Dr. Fate finally reveals the real reason for his sudden visit. He tells Dinah and Oliver the big news that the war is over and Superman has been defeated. Because of this, it is now safe for them to return to their home world. Fate explains that Batman won the war, but now needs their help to rebuild society and prevent the world from falling into chaos. The scene suddenly shifts to Harley Quinn, who is surrounded by Amanda Waller and Rick Flag. Flag aggressively reminds Harley that they have planted a live bomb inside her head. Waller coldly asks Harley if she finds her situation funny. Harley starts laughing and openly calls her captors incredibly stupid. She proudly claims that she is now close friends with Batman, joking that he wants to make her his sidekick. Harley explains that making an enemy of the world's greatest detective is a deadly mistake. Waller's team insists that they have covered their tracks perfectly. Harley ignores this, joking that Batman loves a challenge and comparing their secure base to a wrapped Christmas present waiting to be opened. Harley teases Waller, who has just called her guards, and calmly waits. She asks Waller if she is expecting them to arrive now, because she believes Batman is already here. Right on time, Batman suddenly breaks into the secure government facility. Amanda Waller becomes furious and tells Batman that he has no right to enter her secret base, threatening to lock him up. Surprisingly, Batman ignores her threats and simply thanks her. Waller is left confused by his reaction. Batman calmly explains that he has been secretly monitoring her operations. He then reveals that the dangerous team she just created is exactly what he needs to achieve his goals. Harley is clearly excited to see him. Batman stands tall and firmly tells Amanda Waller that her questionable actions have now given them the means needed to save the world. Harley Quinn is completely shocked to see Batman saying all this to Waller. She looks closely through the heavy smoke and loudly asks who he is. Without wasting a second, he shoots down Waller and Flag, then plainly states that he is Batman. Batman confidently stands in front of the heavily armed group of captured villains. He officially announces to everyone that they now work only for him, declaring them as his personal suicide squad. Batman makes bold promises, assuring them that they will be treated much better under his leadership than they ever would have been by the corrupt and short-sighted government agency that tried to control them. He guarantees that they will not lack anything under his command. To motivate them, Batman makes it clear that they will now serve a much higher purpose. The mood quickly turns dark. Batman calmly admits to the group that he will not be using all of them. Harley Quinn notices the tone and nervously points out that his words sound dangerous. Batman bluntly explains that some criminals in the room are simply useless to his plans. One villain loudly protests this harsh judgment. Batman continues, saying that some individuals are too unstable or could become serious problems. He adds that a few of them are far too dangerous to keep alive, even with explosive devices inside their heads. Suddenly, Killer Croc attacks Batman, but Batman quickly responds with a powerful counterattack and knocks him down hard. Batman easily defeats Killer Croc, slamming him to the ground. He stands over the fallen monster and asks what made him think attacking Batman was a good idea. Batman calmly tells Croc that he is very lucky. He reveals that someone specifically requested that Croc be kept alive because of his unique abilities. Batman warns him that without that request, he would have faced the same fate as the others. At that moment, Batman coldly activates the explosives inside the heads of the villains he has rejected. A frightened man wearing glasses desperately begs for his life, shouting that it is his birthday on March 19th. Batman shows no mercy and casually asks why that matters, right before the man's head explodes. The chaos continues without stopping. Several more explosions happen at the same time as Batman ruthlessly eliminates the villains he does not want. In the middle of all this destruction, one man somehow survives. He excitedly shouts that he is still alive, thinking this means he is useful. But Batman immediately crushes his hope, firmly telling him that he is not useful at all. He explains that the only reason he survived is because of faulty and cheap government technology. Batman then adds a cruel remark, saying the man should not even have a face left to annoy them. Batman suddenly announces that there is only 1 minute left before the extraction arrives. He orders Orca to pick up the unconscious Killer Croc. Then he commands the rest of the surviving members to line up behind him as they prepare to leave. Deadshot looks confused and nervously asks how they are supposed to escape, pointing out that they are inside the Pentagon. He questions if Batman expects them to just walk out the front door. Batman calmly agrees that escaping is not simple and openly admits that it is difficult. That is exactly why he is not alone. The scene shifts outside into a heavy rainstorm. Soldiers quickly prepare to load the surviving villains into waiting helicopters. Batman urgently tells them to move faster before enemy reinforcements arrive. He firmly orders the soldiers to keep their weapons aimed at the dangerous villains at all times. He even gives them permission to shoot the villains in the knees if they try anything. As the operation continues, Batman suddenly stops walking. He hands his tablet to a soldier and looks into the darkness. He loudly says that he knows someone is hiding nearby and confidently demands that they come out. A shocking twist happens. A mysterious figure slowly steps out from the rain and darkness, fully dressed in a complete Batman suit. It almost looks like the real Batman. This unknown impostor speaks directly to Bruce Wayne, saying that he did not want their first meeting to happen like this. He claims he was waiting for a better and more important moment to face him. Bruce angrily tells him to remove the mask, saying that it no longer belongs to him. But the impostor refuses to back down. He strongly declares that the identity belongs to him. He then threatens that he will be the one to remove Bruce's mask instead, just before the fight begins. The tension finally explodes as a brutal fight starts between the two Batmen. The mysterious impostor is extremely fast and powerful. He attacks Bruce with heavy blows and quickly gains control of the fight. The impostor keeps mocking Bruce while beating him, asking if this is really the best he can do. He forcefully slams Bruce onto the wet ground. With complete disrespect, the fake Batman orders Bruce to get on his knees. He calls him pathetic and mockingly addresses him as Mr. Wayne. Bruce struggles badly, groaning in intense pain. The fight continues in a one-sided manner. The impostor completely dominates, brutally attacking Bruce again and again. He keeps calling Bruce's performance disappointing. While striking him, the impostor throws harsh insults, loudly calling him old, slow, and weak. He continues to push him down, insisting that Bruce is far too weak to do what needs to be done. The mysterious impostor stands tall over a completely defeated and badly injured Bruce Wayne. Looking down at him, the impostor boldly declares that he is now the real Batman. With full confidence, the fake Batman tells Bruce that his time is completely over. We are immediately thrown into a highly concerning medical situation. We see Bruce Wayne slowly and painfully waking up in a sterile hospital bed. He is heavily bandaged and clearly in an immense amount of physical pain. Barbara Gordon stands right by his bedside, closely monitoring his delicate condition. She gently tells Bruce to remain completely still so that he does not aggravate his severe injuries. Barbara proceeds to list the extensive damage his body has recently taken, explicitly noting that he is currently suffering from multiple broken ribs, a forcefully reset nose, and a badly fractured cheekbone. Bruce seems completely disoriented and confused. Barbara asks him who could have possibly beaten him up so badly, but Bruce honestly admits that he has absolutely no idea who his attacker is. Barbara expresses deep concern, accurately pointing out that it is highly uncharacteristic for the great Batman to be so easily defeated and left completely in the dark about his opponent's identity. The conversation continues as Lucius Fox enters the hospital room to check on his injured friend. Barbara continues to question Bruce about the mysterious attacker, specifically asking if the person who beat him up has any sort of enhanced genetic abilities or superpowers. Bruce seriously replies that the attacker is completely normal and not enhanced in any way whatsoever. The mysterious fighter is simply vastly superior to him in hand-to-hand combat. She remarks that it is incredibly rare to ever hear Bruce openly admit that someone else is a fundamentally better fighter than he is. Shifting the focus, Lucius informs Bruce that Wayne Industries has recently received a highly classified, pre-recorded message. Lucius activates a small device, and a glowing blue hologram of the deceased Lex Luthor suddenly appears in the middle of the room. Lex's recorded message begins by stating that if Bruce is currently watching this, it unfortunately means that while Batman successfully wins the massive war, Lex himself ends up losing his life during the conflict. The hologram notes that the world is going to desperately need massive resources and trustworthy allies to properly rebuild society. Lex proudly reveals that he is secretly the absolute wealthiest individual on the entire planet, possessing a staggering amount of money that easily rivals the total economic output of major European nations. Lex announces his grand final gesture. He is officially leaving his entire massive fortune directly to Bruce Wayne. Lex sincerely hopes that Bruce will use this newly acquired, unbelievable wealth to effectively change the broken world for the better. However, Lex also delivers a very stern and serious warning to his old friend. He aggressively cautions Bruce not to be overly arrogant and firmly tells him never to attempt the massive rebuilding process entirely by himself. Lex insists that nobody actually wants to live in a society that is molded exclusively to fit Batman's personal, dark vision, calling that specific idea utterly terrifying. After the holographic message concludes, Bruce immediately tries to rip off his medical equipment and get out of the hospital bed. He stubbornly declares that he needs to track down the highly skilled person who attacked him, noting that the enemy clearly has a massive group of powerful villains currently working for them. Bruce continues to list the dire circumstances of their current situation. He grimly reminds Barbara and Lucius that the dangerous enemy group has successfully managed to kidnap Harley Quinn, and they need to mount a rescue mission immediately. Despite his incredibly severe injuries, Bruce is fiercely determined to throw his heavily broken body right back into the dangerous conflict. However, Lucius Fox firmly steps in and stops Bruce from leaving the hospital room just yet. Lucius calmly informs Bruce that Lex Luthor is not the only deceased individual who desperately wants to have a serious conversation with the Dark Knight. Bruce is completely taken aback by this unexpected statement and looks highly confused. Suddenly, a familiar face walks right through the hospital room doors. It is Dinah Lance, also famously known as Black Canary. She warmly smiles at Bruce and politely greets him, clearly very happy to finally see her old friend again after such a long and highly complicated absence. Following closely behind Dinah is Oliver Queen, who originates from a completely different alternate dimension. Dinah immediately starts throwing out her trademark sarcastic insults, openly calling Bruce an emotionally stunted freak while simultaneously giving him a massive, friendly hug. Bruce totally ignores the verbal jabs and instantly gets straight down to business, explaining his grand master plan to the newly arrived heroes. Bruce reveals that he is actively putting together a highly exclusive group of exceptionally wealthy individuals to help properly fund the massive global rebuilding efforts. Oliver loudly mocks Batman for remaining the exact same controlling, know-it-all personality across multiple different dimensions. Bruce firmly explains that he does not just need massive amounts of money. He desperately needs fresh ideas and genuinely good people whose hearts are totally in the right place to help guide the world's future. Bruce explicitly notes that Oliver technically qualifies for this wealthy group because he is a billionaire. Oliver is completely shocked that Bruce actually wants him involved in such a massive, highly important global initiative. A highly amusing technicality regarding Oliver's financial status is quickly brought to light. Oliver firmly corrects Bruce, heavily explaining that while he used to be a billionaire in his original home dimension, he unfortunately loses absolutely everything when his world completely falls apart. Oliver sadly notes that his only remaining valuable asset is a tiny wooden cabin, which was recently obliterated during a massive magical fight. However, Dinah and Bruce quickly step in to correct Oliver's pessimistic financial assessment. They calmly explain the complicated legal reality of the current dimension they are in. They point out that the original Oliver Queen of this specific universe is unfortunately deceased. Because Dinah is legally married to that version of Oliver, she rightfully inherits his entire massive fortune. Therefore, since this alternate Oliver is standing right there, the incredible wealth technically belongs to both of them, provided they are legally married. The couple suddenly realizes that they are not actually legally married in this specific universe. Without a moment of hesitation, Dinah immediately drops down onto one knee, looks deeply into Oliver's eyes, and romantically asks him to marry her again for the very first time. Dinah is still patiently kneeling on the hard floor, eagerly waiting for Oliver's answer to her sudden, highly romantic marriage proposal. However, Oliver suddenly feels incredibly self-conscious about performing this deeply intimate, personal gesture directly in front of the stoic, unmoving Batman. Oliver awkwardly looks over at Bruce and politely asks if Batman could perform his famous vanishing trick and simply disappear into the shadows so they can have a private moment. Bruce does exactly the same. He just vanishes right when Oliver turns to Dinah, leaving Oliver surprised. Dinah groans and heavily complains to Oliver that her knees are starting to seriously hurt from kneeling on the hard ground. She jokingly notes that her superhero costume, which prominently features fishnet material, absolutely does not provide any sort of comfortable cushioning for her aching joints, while she tries to propose. The deeply romantic moment finally reaches its highly anticipated conclusion. Oliver looks down at Dinah with a massive, warm smile on his face and formally accepts her heartfelt marriage proposal. He lovingly agrees to marry her again for the very first time. Just as the happy couple is celebrating their brand new engagement, their young son Connor suddenly walks right into the hospital room. Connor takes one look at his parents, acting incredibly romantic, and openly expresses his absolute disgust, loudly groaning about how completely gross the entire situation is to witness. The scene aggressively cuts to a massive, heavily fortified, maximum security prison facility. Loud, blaring warning sirens are wildly echoing throughout the entire complex. Batman is frantically communicating over a secure radio channel with Warden Turpin, demanding immediate answers about the ongoing crisis. Turpin loudly reports that the main prison alarm has been violently triggered and the entire facility has completely lost all of its electrical power. Batman strongly argues that a complete power failure is totally impossible because the high-tech prison is specifically designed to operate entirely off the main electrical grid to prevent this exact scenario. Turpin frustratedly fires back, pointing out that Batman's logical argument does not change the terrifying reality that he is currently sitting completely in the pitch-black dark. Turpin continues to frantically assess the massive security breach in the darkness. He informs Batman that all of the facility's heavy-duty backup power generators have also completely failed to activate, which strongly indicates that this is not a random mechanical accident. Instead, Turpin realizes that they are currently the victims of a highly coordinated, incredibly precise, and extremely dangerous tactical attack by an unknown enemy force. Turpin loudly complains to Batman, angrily reminding the Dark Knight that when he originally accepts the job as the facility's warden, Batman had explicitly promised him a very quiet, lazy, and highly comfortable position. Turpin is furious that he is now dealing with a massive crisis. The situation goes from bad to absolute worst when Turpin quickly checks the vital remote diagnostic monitors for a very specific holding cell. Turpin horrifyingly discovers that the highly specialized red sun energy fields, which are strictly used to keep the incredibly dangerous Superman completely powerless and safely imprisoned, are rapidly failing. Turpin states that the vital red sun energy has already drastically dropped down to 35% and is continuing to fall at an alarming rate. Superman in his cell has already broken down the glass, and he is about to escape from the prison. Turpin claims that now they have a huge problem.